Hi, my name is Joseph Parker, WBO champion of the world, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
The current unified heavyweight champion of the world, Anthony Joshua, who will defend his IBO, IBF and Super WBA titles against WBO World Heavyweight Champion Joseph Parker on March the 31st at the Principality Stadium, Cardiff, Wales, has questioned whether or not Joseph Parker is going to be able to cope with the whole build-up, the fight hype, all this kind of thing. And he's saying that he's coming from personal experience and it was daunting with the whole build-up and not just fight night, but, you know, the whole build-up, the press conference, everything with Vladimir Klitschko. And then with Carlos Takam as well, because he'd already been there with Klitschko, it was a little bit easier. And of course, he's going to be expecting it to be a little bit easier for Joseph Parker. But Joseph Parker's never been in anything anywhere this size. But this is what Anthony Joshua had to say. I think you can either become overwhelmed or perform under pressure. It's either or. I think I'm at a stage now where I don't know everything, but in terms of being thrown into the deep end with the Klitschko and Takam fights, how I felt with the Klitschko bout is different to how I felt for the Takam fight, and it should be different for the Parker fight due to experience. It'll be interesting to see how Parker copes, and it is daunting. It is showtime, and everyone is watching now. It's not only the fight night. Remember, it's a whole build-up in terms of the press conference, the fight hype, the build-up, and the interest. Everything will probably be bigger than what he's used to. As far as trash talk goes, they've got to be who they are, but sometimes I think they do it for an act. With Vladimir Klitschko, he was straight up. There wasn't too much trash talk or disrespect, but he got his message across, and that he's obsessed with winning and so on. He talked about raising money for charity, and he said that when he beats me, he'll help guide me back to the top. He said his little sly remarks, but they weren't like, Anthony's a bum, he can't perform. That's why I've always said I respect Klitschko, but some of the other heavyweights, I don't. That's just my opinion. If that's their way of trash talking, you can say what you want, but it doesn't affect me, as I don't respect you anyway. You can't really take in what someone says if you don't respect them. Anthony Joshua's statement. Okay, so that very last bit there, so what's he saying? He doesn't respect Joseph Parker? I mean, we do know he does respect his achievements because he's heavyweight champion, but I guess it kind of gets to the point now that ever since the Dillian Whyte fight, every single opponent has trash talked in one way or another. Obviously, Dillian Whyte did all that. Actually, I think Gary Cornish did that as well. And Charles Martin with his I walk this earth like a god, and he's a hype job, and this, that, and the other. And then Dominic Brazil come over, you know, big brash American as well. And Anthony Joshua had to shut him down when they had their face-to-face, and so on and so on and so on. Klitschko, he was playing the mind games. He was with the whole USB thing and all this kind of thing. So he was trying it. Joseph Parker, or more specifically David Higgins, have been having digs at him about a glass jaw and this, that, and the other, which, you know, he doesn't have a glass jaw. If he did, he'd have already been knocked out by now. So, but anyway, anything can happen. It's heavyweight. Who knows? Maybe Joseph Parker's going to go in there and spark him out. You never know how a heavyweight fight's going to go. But for this one time only, I'm a huge Joseph Parker fan, but I have to root for my man, Anthony Joshua, and hopefully he does the business. So, as far as the build-up goes, he's absolutely correct. I mean, what should have been a massive build-up and huge amount of exposure and all this kind of thing against Hughie Fury, it wasn't really. It was very underwhelming. And yeah, a lot of that was down to Mick Hennessy with the fact that he just didn't do a very good job of promoting the fight. You know, sending out a tweet isn't promoting it. You know, you need to get yourself on radio. You need to get yourself on TV, get yourself in the papers, get yourself in the headlines. But it wasn't. The only people who were actually hyping this fight were the likes of me and other channels on YouTube. This was the whole hype, and ultimately the fight became a YouTube fight. I mean, for a heavyweight world title, I mean, for me, I mean, YouTube could be the way forward for boxing. It could be. You never know. But I think for a heavyweight fight, no, definitely not as a tester. That's for sure. You need to have a few fights here, there and everywhere. A couple of maybe high-profile fights, not too high-profile, but build up from there. But well, anyway, I digress. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see how Joseph Parker copes. Now, before they had their face-to-face in their press conference, Joseph Parker was talking about him being on steroids, this, that and the other, and he has since retracted it. The glass jaw, he's got no stamina, he's not as intelligent, if you like, or headstrong, all this kind of thing. But when it got to the press conference, they kind of backtracked a lot of the things. Now, Joseph Parker did backtrack before the press conference, especially with the steroid pop, but again, that was tongue-in-cheek because Anthony Joshua and Graham Norton had a pop at Joseph Parker for eating too many pies or something because he looked a little bit out of shape. But anyway, he just retaliated with, well, if I'm the king of pies, then he's the king of steroids. He's not the first person to say that, and I'm pretty sure he won't be the last. It is what it is. But of course, when it comes down to the press conference, very, very humble. And a lot of it is because the fight is now signed. For me, I don't believe they even need to do that anyway. They'd have got the fight regardless. I mean, would they have got the split? That's probably the reason why they did it. But anyway, I think Joshua is correct. The whole build-up, everything, it will be so much bigger and more attention than what he's used to. Now, luckily for Parker, and I do say this with all respect, he's based in Las Vegas. Whereas all the attention, the heat and everything is over here in the UK and quite probably back home in New Zealand. So while he's over in Vegas, he's away from it. So he can just concentrate on the fight, his training, get that done without a camera being stuck in his face every 2 minutes, every time he leaves the gym. So whereas in America and Vegas, I'm pretty sure that they are very interested in this fight. Of course they are, but they're not going to be as pumped for it as we are in the UK or they are over in New Zealand, and I dare say probably Australia as well. So, yeah. So when he comes over to the UK for a couple of weeks before the fight, I don't know whether or not he's going to be using Ricky Hatton's gym where Tyson Fury trains. Maybe he's going to use the Team Fury gym for where Peter Fury and Hughie Fury are, or maybe go back to David Hayes' gym. I'm not entirely sure of that. But either way, the minute he gets off the plane, the press are going to hound him. They're going to swamp him with questions. They want to know how he's feeling, what his plan is, this, that, and the other. And then obviously they're going to have another press conference and they're going to have the weigh-in and all this kind of stuff. And just the media attention is going to be something that he's never, ever experienced as far as intensity as what that's going to go. So, yeah, it would definitely be interesting to see how Joseph Parker copes. Now, ordinarily, he's a very, very cool head. So I don't expect him to get to him too much. And even if it does, I don't believe he's going to show it. I really don't. Whereas a lot of people, I mean, I can see it coming where people say that Joseph Parker is overwhelmed by the occasion because he doesn't look confident. But that's Joseph Parker. He never looks confident. He doesn't like talking on camera. He doesn't like all that kind of media attention. It just now is part and parcel of the job. He has to do it. So he kind of puts himself into the deep end, but he is uncomfortable with it because he is a humble guy. He just likes to keep himself to himself and get on with his business. And for whatever reason, this article where I read out the Anthony Joshua statement, for whatever reason, it's talking about Anthony Joshua eating scorpions and fish heads. I have no idea even what they're getting on about that one. But either way, I think this fight is going to be a very, very good one. If both of them perform to their maximum ability, then it wouldn't surprise me for any kind of result in this fight. It really wouldn't. But like I said before, I'm rooting for Anthony Joshua in this fight because he's a Brit, just like I am, and I always support the Brits. As much as I do like and respect Joseph Parker, and ordinarily I always want him to win. Even against Hughie Fury, I wanted him to win. And that's not because I dislike Hughie Fury, not at all. It's just that I was very disappointed with the way that Hughie Fury was treating Joseph Parker with the trash talking and, of course, originally pulling out of the fight and, again, totally acting out of character. So for that one fight, I actually partially wanted Joseph Parker to win that fight. But, of course, a big part of me did want Hughie Fury to win, of course, due to national pride and all that. And this is exactly the same with Anthony Joshua, but more so because I do really, really like Anthony Joshua. He's one of my favourite fighters right now, and he's done very, very well and put boxing on the map, or at least helped put it on the map. So, Yeah, anyway, drop your thoughts below, click that thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you next video.